Welcome to the Success Partner Podcast. I'm Daya Naef, your host and founder of The Success Partner. On this show, we dive into the stories of attorneys, business professionals, and entrepreneurs who have navigated the ups and downs of building successful careers and businesses. From the strategies they've implemented to the challenges they've overcome, we're here to uncover the insights that can help you on your own journey to success. So sit back, relax, and let's get started. Welcome back, everybody, to the Success Partner Podcast. I am your host, Daya Naef, and today we have David Craig in the studio, and I'm so excited to introduce you to David. David is a truck accident attorney, and we have met through several circles in our professional worlds, and so I'm excited to get to know him a little bit better and share his work with you. So David, welcome, and just tell us a little bit about yourself and your practice.
Well, thank you. So I really appreciate the opportunity to be on. I'm David Craig. I'm the managing partner, one of the founding partners of the law firm of Craig, Kelley, and Faultless. Most important thing about me is I have 5, almost 6 grandkids.
Oh, wow.
I'm married to my high school sweetheart, and we have 3 wonderful kids and 5 grandkids and 1 on the way. So if nothing else, that's probably the most important thing. And I'm very fortunate and blessed in that 2 of my 3 kids are lawyers in my office, my daughter and my son. And then my other son is a professional videographer with Impact Video, and he does all my videos. So I get to work, and my wife runs my practice. So it's kind of cool. I mean, we got 50 employees now, I think, and 10 lawyers, but still I get to see my family pretty regularly.
That's awesome. So, and you've been doing it 38 years, you told me?
Yeah. So I've been doing it for 38 years. This law firm just celebrated this past year our 25th anniversary.
Congratulations.
And thank you. And it's pretty cool. I'm the managing partner. I helped found this law firm with 2 other partners, Scott Faultless and BJ Kelley. And, we were like-minded. We decided to put this firm together. Scott, I've known, I first worked with him when he was a law clerk of mine 30 years ago. And so, and then most of my paralegals and my staff have been with me for over 20 years. And so it's really kind of neat. We've grown, we've added people. Some people have left, but some of them have come back. And it's a great, I think you spend so much time at work, especially as an attorney, that it's real important to really enjoy what you do and enjoy the people you're with. And I've been very fortunate in that I work with a great team of people.
Yeah, that is a true testament to your culture that you have that great team that you've built.
And it makes life so much easier. You see so many lawyers, you work so many hours. I work 7 days, often 6 days, always a week. And you work all these long hours. But if you're passionate, if you love what you're doing and you love the people you're with, it's fantastic. So I tried to decide in our firm, how do I make it even better? And so a few years ago, we hired somebody to cook breakfast for us on Mondays. Because Mondays it's a slow day. It's hard to get back in the groove of things. But you know what? It's a lot more fun to come to work when you smell French toast and sausage. And, every Monday morning we have breakfast. And every Thursday, which was today, every Thursday I have lunch cooked for us. And so, it's just, I do think as a managing partner, as if you run a law firm, trying to figure out how to make people's life better, how to help your team, because you spend so much time with it and you're dependent upon your team.
Yeah, every person on the team has an integral part. So Absolutely. It's marvelous. How did you get into the specialty, the trucking law specialty?
I was very fortunate in that when I first started practicing, I got hired on a truck case, and at the time I didn't realize the significance of it, but it was a gravel truck that ran off the road. It went through a building and hit my client. And so I got hired in that case. And I did personal injury, but I did a little bit of everything. And so I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the investigation part because they were denying coverage. And so it was a fascinating case to put together to figure out what happened, why it happened. And I enjoyed that aspect. And the client really had serious, significant injuries. And so you felt like, boy, you're really making a difference in this person's life. And so I enjoyed that a lot. At the time, I had to read every book I could get my hands on. Back in those days, we didn't have as many seminars as we do today. And so I read every single book I could get. So I was so paranoid. But I felt like I learned trucking. And so that was a natural niche. And so it just kind of gradually over time kept moving in that direction. And then as you are successful, you try a few cases, you resolve some bigger cases, then a lot of attorneys then referred cases to us. And so, after a while, that became a bigger part of my practice. And today, we niche into, truck accidents. We do flatbeds, semis, tractor trailers, dump trucks, buses, any type of commercial motor vehicle. But we do those cases, and that's probably a large part of my practice. Now, my firm, we still do general personal injury because I think you have to be able to try cases to get full value. And you don't get to try that many semi cases. The big cases, you don't get to try that often. So for my new lawyers, for my son, my daughter, the other 8 lawyers, you want them to have an opportunity to try cases. I want them to be good trial lawyers because that's the only way they can be a good trucking attorney is if they're good trial lawyers and they can learn the trucking niche. And so we do other cases that are personal injury so that we can try cases, and we do regularly try cases around our firm.
Yeah, you have to be ready to go. Even though it's likely to end up in a mediation or a settlement discussion, you still have to be ready to go.
Yeah, and you should put your clients in the best position you can to get full value. And I don't force my clients to go to trial, but I also don't force my clients to settle. And that's important. You empower them. And the way you empower them is you prepare so you can do either one.
Yeah, absolutely. As a complete curveball aside, do you think alternative business structures where we start to get outside investment is going to affect that?
And I've been approached. I think venture capital is a big deal. I think it will change the practice. I think some of the big players will get bigger. And I think, but the bottom line is, we're an extraordinarily successful firm. I have lawyers licensed in Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, Illinois, Iowa, and Missouri, and as well as Indiana. And so I have an office in St. Louis. And I think so. You have to look at things and say, how do I stay competitive? How do we? You can't ignore it. You can't put your head in the sand and say, okay, well, it's not going to affect me, because I think it will affect us. But at the same time, it's like winning a case. You should run your business if you enjoy strategy, if you enjoy winning trials, then, which I do. But I also enjoy building a business. And so I think you have to anticipate that happening. And I think there's a lot of opportunities for people that are not going to be bought out or not going to have venture capital, because I think that you just have to look at it and say, okay, what does that mean? What kind of, do they come in and do they start cutting some staff people? Do you start, having less employees? Are lawyers taking more files? Does it become more profit driven rather than client-centered? And so there's a perfect opportunity, I think, for people to be client-centered and still do a great job and be different and be distinct. But I also think niching helps as well, because most venture capital firms are not going to niche as much. They're probably going to be bigger practices that do all kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. It's very interesting. I'm watching it roll out, and I get asked about it quite a bit. So glad to know it's also on the forefront of your mind, just to be aware of all that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, if I'm listening to this call and I know I need to contact you, how do I know that you're the next person I need to call?
Yeah. I think that I just finished writing a book that's going to be out in a few months. It's called "It's Been Easier to Pick the Wrong Attorney," to hire the wrong attorney, because it is hard. If you're just an average person on the street, lawyers, we know, okay, who do we want to refer to? Who's good at medical malpractice? Who's good at business entities? Who's good at personal injury? Who's a good truck accident attorney? But if you're not involved in our world, you probably don't know that. So I wrote this book saying, just because somebody has the biggest billboard or a television commercial, or they stand on trucks or buses or whatever they do, that doesn't mean necessarily they're the best. So how do you figure that out? And so I think people can Google me, and you can check out my references. I host a podcast like you called After the Crash, where I try to provide information. And my book, I also wrote a book called Truck Accidents or Truck Wrecks, Semi-Truck Wrecks, a guide for victims and their families. And the whole thing that my goal is to try to make a positive difference in the lives of others. And to do that, you write books and you do podcasts and you do things that you're putting out information for free. So whether they hire me or they don't hire me, my goal would be that they have information so they know what questions to ask, and they know what to look for, and they know how important it is to pick an experienced, qualified, and knowledgeable attorney in whatever niche it is that they're looking at.
Yeah, that makes sense. as an attorney, I get people calling me all the time because they think they need an attorney. And so they want to ask me some questions. And in that, I can sort of narrow down, okay, this is the type of attorney you need. And this is the questions that you need to ask them, and just to kind of point them in the right direction, because it can be very intimidating for a non-lawyer looking for an attorney.
Yeah, and you want somebody that has the knowledge, the experience, and who has a good track record. But at the same time, especially in semi-truck wrecks, you're going to spend years potentially with these people. Mm-hmm. And so I encourage people to narrow it down to a couple of really good attorneys and then interview her or him so that you can figure out, is this somebody I'm comfortable with? Because that's just as important as their qualifications and their expertise.
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to have a relationship, and you need somebody that you can trust. And when I got on the call, I noticed your dog picture, and we had a nice conversation about that. So you're immediately trustworthy to me as an animal person.
I love it. In our law firm, you come to our firm, it's more days than not you'll have a dog in my dog is usually in my office, but there's usually sometimes 3 or 4 dogs in the office. And I feel like, it's enough stress in this world. So we don't dress up here typically. We have dogs. We're very friendly folks, which is important, I think. I mean, it's just, we work hard, we try hard. We get extraordinarily great results. My lawyers are all been ranked as super lawyers or top lawyers in every award thing you can think of. But what's most important to me is that I think almost all my attorneys except one were law clerks of mine. Okay. And they've been with me for years. And it was important to me as to how do they treat people. That is more important to me than any of the accolades, because you can be super smart and be a jerk. So I want people that are really smart, who work hard, but also care about what they're doing and care about people.
People.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. And you groomed your own kids to come in and practice with you.
Yeah, I didn't think that would happen. They spend so much time in my office, and that's another thing. My employees bring their kids in, so I have a lot of kids in my kids always came to work with me. And I just love having kids. I love dogs. I love family. And I think that it's a real important thing. And clients feel very comfortable bringing their kids in, And so, and my son's a lawyer here. My daughter's a lawyer here. My son's actually a partner in the firm. It's fun to practice, and I take such pride. I feel like I'm a pretty good trial lawyer. I've gotten great results, but it's more satisfying to watch your kids and even your other attorneys that aren't kids. You watch them try and you watch them grow, and you think, man, they're going to be so much better than I am. And that's exciting.
It is. It's a true mark of success, the legacy that you're building.
Yeah, and I think that's what's important. I see so many lawyers that are motivated by money, or their goals are, okay, how much money am I going to make this year, that next year? And it's like, if your goal is to make a positive difference in people's lives, you never hit your goal. You're never burn out. Every morning you get up and it's exciting to be coming to work because you can make a difference today in somebody's life. Mm-hmm. And so I love doing what I do.
I love it. Well, good. Well, how do our listeners find you?
So I'm headquartered in Indianapolis, Indiana. The law firm is Craig, Kelley, and Faultless. You can look us up on the internet, ckflaw.com, or you can call us at 317-545-1760. But I'm on the internet, on Facebook, LinkedIn. And so if you put in David W. Craig, you're going to find me. Truck accident attorney, you'll find me.
Okay. And all joking aside, do you have some billboards?
I do not.
Okay.
I have some signing, but I don't have billboards. And I'm not against. I think that there are some good attorneys that have billboards. There's some bad attorneys that have billboards. Mm-hmm. There's some good attorneys on TV. There's some bad attorneys on TV. The point is not to judge somebody because they show up on Google, because they show up on a TV commercial or a billboard. The thing is to make sure that whoever you're picking, no matter however you find them, whether it's word of mouth or whatever, is that they are qualified, and that every good lawyer I know will answer your questions and be happy to talk to you. And if the lawyer won't talk to you or won't honestly answer your questions, and they don't share their experience and expertise, or whether they've handled a case similar to yours, then that's the wrong lawyer. That's just the wrong person. So I would encourage people. I don't really care how you found them, but do your research. It's easy, although it's never been easier to pick the wrong attorney. Mm-hmm. So it's very easy to find the right attorney and do research, check reviews, check their whether, I'm board certified in truck accident law. Well, there's less than 100 lawyers that are board certified in truck accident lawyer. There's only 4 in the state of Indiana. Well, we have to be vetted. You can't buy that. You don't get it. You have to take a test. And so to be board certified in any specific area that's a great way right off the bat to screen people.
Yeah, I saw that on I was just flipping back to the LinkedIn Academy of Truck Accident Attorneys.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep. Yeah. I'm board certified. I'm on the board of regents of the ATAA. And I've won several awards in the trucking area. But I think, and I enjoy when people, in my book, I tell people, just interview people. Here's the criteria. Here's what you should look for, but then narrow it down and then interview them. And I love it when people come in and ask me the questions that are in my book and say, okay, have you handled a case similar to mine? And if the person can't answer that, or they evade it, or they avoid it, then, okay, that's the wrong person. Because anybody can put a TV commercial on, anybody can say they're the best, but the reality is that some people can back it up, and you should ask the question because, especially on a semi-wreck that's catastrophic where people have died, or you're paralyzed, or there's catastrophic injuries, my God, your future is at stake. And you don't want to make a mistake and hire the wrong attorney just because they happen to appear on a billboard or a TV commercial or whatever.
Yeah, kitschy, cute ads. Is your life? Doing your research. I love it that they ask the questions that you ask them to ask.
It's funny. I actually had somebody sit down, and unfortunately, her mom had been killed, and so she was very serious. She had narrowed it down to 3 people. And she brought my book in, and she's like, okay, I want to ask you these questions. And I said, well, obviously I put them in there so I can answer them. So, but I think it's really good. And I said, she said, you don't want to know who else I've narrowed it down to? I said, no, I don't need to know that. And she goes, well, I'm going to interview everybody. Why should I pick you? I said, well, you should pick me if you're comfortable with me. But the one thing I will tell you is when you interview other people, there's a lot of lawyers who make you feel like you're lucky to have them as your lawyer. I feel very fortunate to have you as my client. I go, it's a subtle difference, but it's a huge difference. And so if you can find people who are qualified, but who really care and want to be, who feel privileged and honored that you pick them, then I would go with that person. They might have a dog in their office when you visit.
That's a plus.
But that's what's important. And so many lawyers, I think, especially when you get to a certain level, it's easy for your ego to get big and huge. You start getting, 10 million, 20 million, 30 million, you start getting big numbers. But yet, you have to remember why you went into this. And the reason we went into this, most of us, was to help people and to make a difference. And I think you should look for lawyers who are like that personally.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody who's been listening to today's show. Again, this is the Success Partner Podcast. I'm your host, Daya Naef, and today we had David Craig on the show.
Thank you for joining us on the Success
tuned.
Partner
Please
Podcast.
like and subscribe.
I hope you enjoyed today's conversation
and
found some valuable takeaways to apply to your own business journey. Remember, this show is brought to you by The Success Partner, where we help small law firms and business owners achieve unparalleled success through strategic guidance, operational excellence, and effective marketing. If you're ready to take your business to the next level, visit thesuccesspartner.net to learn more. Until next time, keep striving for success, and I will see you in the next episode.